What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to SNS Sports. We did not have the result we were hoping for in Week 6. The Cowboys fall to 4-2 to their division rival Philadelphia, but that's all right. That's all right. I think it was a much-needed loss. These guys, I think, didn't feel beatable, so it was good to. I think it's good to get out of the way now. What about you?
Yeah, man. Just how everything started off. It was looking bleak there for a minute, but I'm just glad we was able to bounce back. I'm satisfied with how I look, and just to know, man. Look, man. Even without Dak, I think we showed enough fight as a team. Obviously, we couldn't overcome all of those turnovers and everything like that. But look, we get full back, man. We'll see them again in December. So we don't get them all, but I feel like a loss is a loss. We'll take it, but I think we got some positives that we can hang our head on from this game.
Definitely. A few guys that stood out to me during the game. Dorrance Armstrong. My man has 5 sacks on the season now. He's actually tied up with Myles Garrett in sacks, so that's pretty cool. He's coming on strong. Chauncey Golston, he kind of jumped off the page to me during the game. His stat line wasn't crazy, but there was enough there to impress me. Malik Hooker seemed to be flying all over the place as well. I think he had like 10 solo tackles, so he was pretty involved in wrapping things up. LVE, I know you're kind of off the LVE train, but 3 solo tackles and 1 tackle for loss. Nothing crazy, but that play when he hopped the line of scrimmage, like Troy Polamalu, was pretty cool. I think LVE is doing all right. And then lastly, I got Kavontae Turpin. I thought Turpin continues to stand out on special teams. I think it's pretty significant.
For sure, man. I ain't gonna speak on LVE. I ain't gonna say I ain't gonna give him the biggest knock. I think Dan Quinn just does a good job of putting him in position to hide his deficiencies a little bit. It's some things you want to see, but I'm not mad at it. I will say this game definitely Kavontae Turpin, man. He provided us a big spark. When nothing was going on, pretty much all game, man. In the punt return and the return game, we'll speak on a couple different things like that. But just to add on what you said as well, I thought Dorrance Armstrong starting off. Right on the first drive, was able to make his imprint. Another solid game from him. DeMarcus Lawrence is another one. I feel like I continue to say this name every week. He showed burst off the edge. He was one of those players that stuck out there. And was able to hold his own, man, all game. Ezekiel Elliott, man. How about Zeke? He was looking like his old self out there. I think getting the tough yardage right away. I wish we could have stuck to it a little bit more, early on. But I think Zeke, for the most part, looked good, man. And then I'll just speak on Jake Ferguson as well, man. Shots out. Ferguson was able to answer the bell, step up again, had a big TD there, man. I like Jake. And then lastly, Terrence Steele, man. I think it can't be enough said about Terrence Steele off the edge, right tackle, man. I think he's been solid, one of our best linemen, and maybe the best lineman this year, if you want to be honest, man. Terrence Steele had another solid game.
I like that a lot, especially – he does look good, and McGovern looks terrible. Biadasz looks terrible.
Trash.
Just to dive into a little negativity that I found in the game, that's definitely on my list. Biadasz, man, he's been smoked back-to-back weeks. I think he's good technique-wise, but, he just doesn't have power there. That power is non-existent. So I think he's, a year or two away from actually being a starting offensive lineman. And then McGovern, we just got to pivot off that as soon as possible.
Yeah. Hopefully soon, man. We had news come out today that, Tyron, he's ramping up. He may not be ready soon, but towards the end of the season, I don't know, man. We got to figure out a way to put our best 5 out there. McGovern, I don't think he's part of that. Biadasz, I think he'll stick around just for the fact that he's our center, and I don't think it's another guy that can come in and kind of keep things afloat as far as reads and different things like that. So, but definitely we got to figure something out about the offensive line. And then, You notice that they kind of figured it out real quick, where it's we was running the ball to the teeth for the defense, doing that there. And then I think it was in the second half, they made the adjustment where you see them started kind of double teaming them. Because they noticed hey, we good on the edge. We just got to figure out something up front to deal with these big guys. And obviously, once we started doing that, we was able to get a little push.
I felt like that started happening right after the half, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that was a halftime adjustment. No, I think definitely looking at our line right now, once we can kick Tyler Smith inside, we'll be all right. Because I feel like that A gap on the left side is just so vulnerable right now. It'll be better when Smith is there to help out Biadasz, or Martin can give him a hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we should have won this game, bro. That was a winnable game. I think we beat ourselves. But it was a game I think I said before that Philly had to win.
Yeah.
So good for them. It was their time Sunday night, but 10 penalties and they were crucial.
Yeah.
A lot of them
Timely
killed
ones, man.
drives.
Untimely for sure. You know what I mean? Let's talk about it, right? So, you know, going into this game, I know we all expected like, hey, man, it's gonna be a nice defensive battle. We knew they had a good offense and that they would find their way at some point. But just to see that first drive, right? You see Zeke come out there. He had a couple plays here and there. We punted away. You know what I mean, they punt the ball back to us or whatever. But I just think, man, we kind of did a bad job of putting Cooper Rush in position, like getting him into a nice rhythm. I think they was too eager just to kind of, do some things where they was trying to force the defenders off, the DBs to play the run game instead of just leaning on your run game and then, backing it up in another way, pretty much.
Yeah, I can see that. I think, though, honestly, they should have ran the ball a little heavier in the first half so that we could work the play action because just running shotgun against Philly isn't going to work with that front seven compared to our offensive line. I know last week I mentioned the keys to victory, score early and often, take as many points as we can get, and there was a time in the second quarter where we went for it on 4th and inches on the 35 when we could have tried to kick that field goal. We wouldn't have won the game with that field goal, but there's different momentum when you start putting points on the board. I thought that was a missed opportunity, especially considering we have our backup in. If Dak's in the game, go for it. But we got to play more conservative with Cooper Rush, I guess.
It was it was some big momentum shifts, right? You said that word, right? So I think at that point, it was 0-0. And the defense was on its way to another stop. Is 4th and 5. It's 15 seconds left at the end of the first quarter, and Fowler, he jumps off sides, right? I'm like, come on, man. Got to do better than that, right? So, unfortunately, right there, we give up 7. So, and, giving up 7, obviously, how things been going. We obviously haven't been a team that's built to play from behind. But, we just haven't seen it for the most part. So, I just think from there, you go down 7 on the very next play, Cooper, you could see he felt that pressure, and he forced that throw across the middle. It was like 5 defenders near the ball.
Right.
You come back out and you get that interception. I think from right there, you think about our defense and you can say, yeah, they gave up, some plays in there. But for the most part, man, I think it was like 3 or maybe even 4 out of their first 5 drives, they were starting the ball in our territory. Now, as much as you want to see your defense stand up, that's tough on any defense in this league. You can't just expect them to come out and stop them every time. Luckily, we was able to hold them to 2 field goals, but put us in the hole early.
Those turnovers were an excellent field position for them. You're right about that. The Tony Pollard, that no call block in the back, I thought that was a horrible call. They should have called that one. So we really should have had 11 big penalties.
I think to be truthful, I think they did that because off of the Turpin play. Mama Turpin, he had that big play. It was 10-20. We came out of halftime. We scored. We got the ball back. And really, a matter of fact, I still think we scored on that drive, but I think it just because we ended up 17-20 right there. But it just took so much time off the clock. We got it was 2017, and then we burned almost 10 minutes driving the left of the field. And really, we supposed to have a ball in their territory at the time. So it was some missed calls all around. I think the refs did a poor job.
Noah Brown catch, bro. I thought he was about to break the internet on Sunday night. That was insane. That was so athletic.
I think he had that, to be honest.
I was surprised. So help me out here, because I'm sitting there watching it, trying to think it through my head. I'm like, that's a touchdown. Like, it has to be. Yeah. He hit the pylon. 1 foot down hits the pylon.
He got the cheeks in, bro. You know what I mean? He supposed to have one cheek down is good enough to me. So.
Oh, I didn't see that part. Yeah. I didn't see that. If you hit the pylon, it's a TD, bro. Right? Yeah. When did that change?
I just hate seeing highlight plays get taken back too, man. Because sucks for him, man. You know what I mean? Even as an NFL fan, that was a dope catch. So
yeah, absolutely. I think I said at the beginning, this was a very humbling loss, in my opinion. And the reason I say that was listening to Trayvon and Micah on the pivot. Those boys were sounding pretty cocky. And I think they kind of needed this to get a reality check that, like, shit ain't sweet. It is the NFL. Like, you're playing against men. So I do think that was good, and I think it was perfect timing ahead of Dak's return, hopefully. Come off a big loss, division rival, then we get to go play Detroit with Dak. Like, I think this is a good tune-up game.
And
That I
Dak is
think
back. I think it's official. Dak is back.
is it
So
nice. Okay,
yeah,
that's terrific.
yeah.
You mentioned it before. Zeke did look phenomenal. He looked like pre-Cabo Zeke out there. Finally,
Yeah.
he looked quick, powerful. Uh, he looked like he had that juice back. So I hope that is legit.
That's the
'Cause-
that's the thing, man. You know, when you check everything like in the grand scheme of things, like box scores, right? It seemed like, you know what I mean, they was getting away with the running game and different things like that. But when you look back, right, you see they had like 840 carries for like 133 yards, right?
right,
Like a 3.2 yards per carry. You look at Miles Sanders, same. And then you look at Zeke, man, he had an efficient 13 carries for 81 yards. He just didn't get the touches, but I think if we had the opportunity and a positive game script that we really needed, you know what I mean, coming into this game, you know what I mean, when you think about how we want to establish it, we never had a chance. And I think the minute that we, you know what I mean, started to establish the run game, that's when you seen us get things going. And just speaking of the run game, right? I just didn't understand. Like we talk about some of the keys. You go into this, I was like, you know, I feel like we should be talking to the tight ends down the seam. I feel like this can be a big game for them. Why did it take till the second half to start talking to these tight ends, man? I think the minute you seen Jake Ferguson get involved, then you seen Sean McKeon, he came in and got some plays. Peyton Hendershot. And as those guys started opening up, you see the run game open up even more. I just don't understand why we kind of just, you know what I mean?
right,
Never thought to exploit that. I thought it was big.
right. And because we've been preaching 12 for a while now, like
Yeah.
that's obviously our path to victory. Yeah, I think on the other side of things, Ferguson does look phenomenal. And I think
Yeah.
he is good enough at tight end. That's kind of what he was there for. I think the Schultz tag might have been a mistake,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest. And we talked about it before. Like, who tags a tight end, bro? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Especially like all tight ends work in our system. So
Yeah.
Ferguson will probably take that spot moving forward. Not moving forward, obviously.
Nah.
After the season,
Him and Hendershot, bro. I think it's a wrap for Schultz. You know what I mean? Not no knock against him, but I think in this
right,
offense, you don't need to pay a guy like that. You know what I mean? I'm ready with you on that for sure. Well, I look, I just want to touch on, you know what I mean, some big plays and then also like narratives while I was watching the game, right? So I looked at the second touchdown, right? And you know the RPO play where it looked like they neutralized Micah and they was able to get the RPO pass. Well, you know what I
yep,
mean? Going back and looking at it, right? His read was the quarterback. And then if you
right,
look at it, Jordan Lewis, who actually had AJ Brown, I'm sorry. He had AJ Brown, he got lost in traffic. You know what I mean?
hmm
So when you think about that, you know what I mean, it's a lot of things. It just seems like, look, I just would say, man, we wasn't well prepared. They did some things. The RPO worked. They had a solid game plan. I think next time around, I could see us being better. Um, I think too early on, I think it was in the early downs. I was wondering why we was playing Parsons so much, you know what I mean, on the edge, right? And then I think just by him playing in the middle, I thought it would allow him to get sideline to sideline. But then if you think about this game in the grand scheme of things, you know, we never had them really pinned deep. You know what I mean? They was able to stay ahead of the chains. And when you allow a team to stay ahead of the chains, these third downs and fours, that whole playbook is open. So if you think about it, we never really had a chance to pin our ears back like we wanted to.
of course. Yeah, you're right. I thought it was very impressive too. I know Collinsworth pointed it out on air how they kept moving Mike off his spot pre-snap,
Yeah.
and it was one, it exploded when we were in man, and two, it was crazy because they would just bring the guy over to make him move this way, run the ball that way, like
Right.
just completely eliminating him from the play. And that was a really, really clever
Yeah.
way to attack this defense. I'll give them credit for that.
And they was getting open. You know what I mean? If you look
Yeah,
at Trayvon Diggs, he wasn't even rarely targeted. I think he gave up like one, maybe two catches for 11 yards. He never really got targeted the whole game. Micah, obviously he had his plays, you know what I mean, here and there, whatever. But I think overall they did a good job, man. I think, you know what I mean, just them getting in field position, it didn't give our defense a break. You know what I mean? It's
right.
just not how you want to play. And let's talk about Cooper Rush, man. I
Yeah,
will say this: I don't want to totally disrespect the guy. He did what he's supposed to do for us, but I think it was games like that when you realize we had to put it on his back. Where you know what I mean? I just feel like this game, he was trying to play hero ball, whether that was on him, Kellen Moore, however it was going. But I think this game, it seemed like he was more trying to be Batman when he forgot he was supposed to be Robin the whole time. You know what I
right.
mean? So, but it was a lot of those, man. I just, you know what I mean? We talk about to the outside. It seemed like they was forcing it to gallop. different things like that, man. You know what I mean? It's hard to overcome three turnovers, I'm sorry. But then had those 3 turnovers and only lose by 9 points, man. I think that should let you know all you need to
And
know
the
about
10
this team.
penalties.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot to overcome. It wasn't a lot going our way, man. So heads off to Philly. You know what I mean? We won't make excuses. We will be getting fullback. I'm excited to see what this team will look like. You know what I mean? As far as the defense to go, like I said, you look at the box score, you would have thought it was a lot more. Hurts, he only had like 155 yards passing. They never really had to drop the length of the field. So I think next time, with some adjustments made, some things we could take away from this game. Like I said, hats off again, shout out to Philly. But I think we'll be ready for them next time.